I have spoken of in other videos about my time in the military and what my job was and what we did down in Central America. And I've also alleged that there's a lot that I haven't been able to reveal here at the channel about the things that are going on behind the scenes. But it's starting to come into the forefront, and I'm doing the very best that I can to try to point people to the truth of Donald Trump and what's really going to transpire in the next year or two. Well, today he kind of threw us a bone, and it has to do with this guy, Alexander Acosta. Now, he's supposedly the new labor secretary pick, and most people would not think that's a big deal. But you have to look at who this man is and who he was and his role in Donald Trump's life. He's a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida and was the man who prosecuted Cali cartel founders Miguel and Gilberto Oruela for the importation of 200,000 kilos of cocaine, amongst many other things. Now, that in and of itself wouldn't be that big of a deal if you didn't realize that Donald Trump had just purchased a couple of years ago a $90 million hotel in Medellin, Colombia. Or if you didn't know that there was a difference between the Medellin cartel and the Cali cartel, and how it came about that the Cali cartel left the Medellin cartel, and what happened during Operation Just Cause, and the ties of Manuel Noriega to Pablo Escobar. To put all of that convoluted mess together is something that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do in a concise way without having, an intelligence analyst by my side and a bunch of pieces of paper to lay out for everybody. But trust me when I say that this was a giant favor, a giant payback favor that Donald Trump just gave this guy this huge position because he put in jail two guys that tried to kill Pablo Escobar and did everything they could to destroy the Medellin cartel. And that's what it basically boils down to. These guys were two of Donald Trump's buddies' biggest enemies and almost brought Trump to the point of complete and total bankruptcy. Because you have to really understand what was going on in the early 90s. I had made a video about the 86 Tax Act and how that really pissed off Donald Trump because it cost him a ton of money, and a lot of slumlords a lot of money. And the only way he could make that money back was through the drug trade, through Florida. And then he got in bed with Escobar, and then almost immediately Escobar had a little civil war, and these guys broke off from him and started to become violent. And so then he had a bigger problem. So he was able to make inroads with the U.S. and through different avenues get the DEA to focus their attention on Pablo Escobar while pretty much leaving the Calis alone. So it goes back to this guy. His name is Jorge Salcedo. And he was a member of the, his father was a member of the military, and he was tasked by the Medellin cartel with putting together a plan to take out the Calis, but then when the Calis got word of it, they recruited this guy, and he went to work for them, trying to kill Escobar. And there was all sorts of things. They tried bombings and assassinations and kidnappings and all this other stuff, but eventually this guy had enough of it, and he turned traitor on the Oruelas. And it was his testimony and his words that was able to bring down the Calis. And unfortunately, the Escobar died, but that still left his cartel in place, and I'll just let you guys put together who took over the operations of the Medellin cartel, silently and secretly. Now, you folks can go look up the Cali cartel, read on this. You can also take a look at, look at this, in Panama. Guess who designed the hotel? A giant Colombian firm tied to Pablo Escobar. You can also go read about Manuel Noriega and his ties, and you can also read about this. At this point, all of the puzzle pieces have now fallen into place, and I've covered them. there's really not much more I can say at this point other than to watch and look at everything that's going on and think about what I said about the 80s and do the homework for yourself, and you'll see exactly who is now in charge of the U.S. government. And it's a very frightening thing to see. You can talk about, Donald Trump was going off about leaks, about how he's going to find out who his leaks are, about the whole General Flynn thing. Well, yeah, he knows about leaks. He knows what happens when you have somebody in your organization that can turn traitor on you and tell everyone where the bodies are buried, because they did it to the Callies. And, these guys still live in fear for their lives, even inside the U.S. under CIA protection. They're number one on the hit list. So, not a very long video today because I'm trying not to speak too much about different things so that I don't reveal other sources. But like I said, Manuel Noriega, read the wiki on this. Check out the history of Trump Panama and how this was built. Read about the Callies. Understand them. Here's a story. It was put back in 2007 by the Seattle Times. It's a daring portrayal. Helped. You can read this, and this will give you the basics of the story. And then you can find out who this man is, Alexander Acosta, and how he is now tied to Donald Trump and part of the Trump administration. So, anyway, shorter video today, but that's really all I can say, folks. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate it. You guys have been sharing this out a lot. It's getting out more, and hopefully we can keep the truth in the forefront here. Have a great day.